Hello, this is Nice Wonder, and I'm in the studio right now with Kenneth Meija, who is the Green Party candidate for the 34th District Congressional seat, as well as Brandon Ramirez, who is Communications Secretary and Outreach with the Democratic Socialists of the LA. Guys, thank you for being on the NOWMAN show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So, my pleasure. We're headed to uncharted waters right now.
Yes.
There's two elections now, and I think what we're seeing, because of how things have unfolded in the 2016 election, that a lot more people are engaged. So I'm seeing more and more people actually talking about the fact, oh, there actually is a 2018 election.
Yeah.
Oh, before the 2020
There's
election.
something to look forward to.
There's something to look forward to. And that being said, you guys are in the forefront, I would say, of progressive coalition building. First of all, Kenneth, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Kenneth Meija. I'm a 26-year-old running for Congress in the April 4, 2017 special election, and I'm representing the Green Party. And I feel like it's time for a change, and I think what people have saw in the last election is people are not represented by both the Democratic or Republican Party, and so we're here to give people that option. I'm also a community organizer and a certified public accountant as well.
Wow, you're an accountant. I didn't know that. It's good to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
What first got you interested in politics?
I'd say last year. Bernie Sanders was the one who got me politically engaged. And when I actually saw a public servant like him talking about helping people like, my mom, single mother, an immigrant, or helping the undocumented community or people of color, I thought, oh my God, there's actually a politician who actually cares. And so that's when I decided to get involved. And so.
Fantastic. Brandon, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm an organizer with the Democratic Socialists of America. So we are a multi-tenancy organization. We're a nonprofit organization. We're not a political party. So I basically got involved a little bit earlier than the Sanders campaign. I got involved with DSA during the Occupy campaign.
Yes.
So I was a student out in Philadelphia, and one of my professors was a vice chair of the Democratic Socialists of America, and that's how I got involved. But
and that's how you found out about the organization.
Yeah, that's how I found out about the organization, and definitely got kind of re-engaged with DSA with the Bernie Sanders campaign as well. So,
fantastic.
Yeah.
And so Kenneth is part of the what attracted you to the Green Party, and was it its platform? What motivated you to want to run for office?
Right. Well, I actually ran last year for the same seat in the Democratic Party, and the same seat against Javier Becerra as a write-in, and I campaigned for 2 months and got 1,177 write-in votes. So
wow.
That was pretty good, and I did it basically because I feel like it was time for our Congress people to make change and do something actually. And Bernie Sanders sort of propelled me forward to do that. And then after we sort of saw what happened with the DNC and what the party did to him, I felt like it was time to go. And I couldn't do Trump or Clinton. And so luckily there was Jill Stein, who was in the Green Party, and actually reading their platform, it's like more democratic and actually more progressive than both parties. So and then people are ready for that change. Over 60% of people want a third party. So
that's right. And we've seen also statistically that most people registered to vote are independent.
Exactly.
Not either Democrat or Republican. That's a fact. And Brandon, now you started to touch upon what the Socialist Party, well actually it's not a party, the Socialist Organization is about.
Right.
And you said
We're a multi-tendency organization.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
So what that means is that we absolutely do think that electoral politics are important. We want more people to get engaged, like Kenneth, who are going ahead and saying, okay, we're tired of the way this works. We want to bring an alternative to politics outside the regular conservative liberal. But also the idea that we have to be engaged with actual activism, with pressuring politicians outside of elections, and actually building real education around ideology. So we're putting forward something that's different from regular neoliberalism or conservatism, something that's actually truly progressive.
And truly progressive and even terminology, like the word socialism.
Right.
Older generations still are not comfortable with that in this country.
Right.
which shows that they're not educated about how their own history of socialism, and not educated about socialism as it exists currently around the world.
Right.
So whereas the millennial generation, on the other hand, they're very open to it. Like if you saw a clip on CNN in the town hall with Nancy Pelosi and that wonderful policy student from NYU, Trevor Hill, which went viral on the internet, which I'm going to do everything I can to make that even more viral.
And he's now one of ours.
And he's
so
now,
you
sent him a membership application, right?
He was sent a free membership from
Yeah.
Democratic Socialists of America,
Yeah.
and I think he's going to be a great ambassador for DSA.
And that's the kind of activism that we need, to put a human face to it, to step outside the box, and not go with the usual way of doing things and say, okay, this is off script, but I'm going to do this,
Right.
and do it live, and you create the best teaching example that can possibly be created, because it forces someone to be human,
Right.
in that moment, to go off script and reveal the truth, and then give somebody something to think about.
Right.
What basically are your strategies going forward in what you do, not only in your coalition building, but in putting that message out there that there are alternatives to establishment ways of thinking and doing things? Kenneth?
Right, like what Brandon said, one thing that the local Green Party here is doing is we're actually out there in the community. We're out there in Skid Row doing meals, giving blankets. We're out there in Boyle Heights talking to people who are going to get kicked out of their homes because a new developer is going to build an apartment next there. We're out there, marching and rallying against deportation, and or Black Lives, when they get shot by police. We're out there in the community, and you don't sort of see that. And when they're like, "Oh my goodness, you're actually a Green Party member.
Yeah.
You actually are different than what we've seen," and I think right there it sort of gives them that human experience that there's actually hope out there, and then there's another option. So that's sort of what we're doing. We're really getting out there, not only through electoral politics. I think electoral politics is second to what we're doing. The first things we're doing is movement building, because like any change could happen only through movements, and so not through me, not through one person. And that's how we're doing it.
And Brandon, let's go back to you. What is your experience? I mean, I'm thinking right now that what we're seeing after the outcome of the last election, and there's another great video with the former outreach coordinator with comedian Lee Camp on his program called Redacted tonight. And he goes into detail about what actually happened during the primaries and is going forward, and now going forward. Okay, what we have seen, those of us that started with the Occupy Wall Street movement, we saw what I would say hundreds of thousands of people evolve into tens of millions with Feel the Burn. Now we have no way of knowing, because it seems like now that sort of energy is everywhere.
Right.
When you go into social media, and even the mainstream media can't ignore it anymore, or at least the fact that it's going on. They might ignore the amounts of numbers of people that are out on the streets. But so what are your tactics right now? What, as the socialists, Democratic Socialists here in LA and nationwide, what are the main goals right now ramping up for 2018 and 2020?
Yeah, in a similar way to what Kenneth was talking about, building movements and building coalitions. So we want to show that there's solidarity between Black Lives Matter movement, between the climate justice, between going to no Dakota Access Pipeline, socialist feminism. We want to show that basically it's all a shared struggle. And when everyone starts realizing that we don't need to retreat to our own little corners, and that everyone can be an activist for each other, and we all have one shared community, one shared goal, we tend to actually start seeing, okay, we have a common opposition.
Yes.
A common opposition tends
commonality,
to be,
a common ground.
And the common ground, as we're seeing in America 21st century right now, is that it's corporatism, that is not just the Republican Party, it's the whole corporate neoliberal kind of platform that they put forward. So that's really what we're opposed to and what we're building a movement against.
Fantastic. This is an ongoing story, so I'd like to have you guys back and we can talk some more about it, but this is where we begin on this show. So thank you very much, Kenneth Meija and Brandon Ramirez. Thank you so much, guys, for being on the NOWMAN Show. This is Nice Wonder, and you've been watching the NOWMAN Show.